Hi, I'm Dr. Terry Silkman. We've been talking a lot recently about what holds you back. What is it that keeps you imprisoned where you're at, keeps you in toxic relationships? It keeps you spending all of your time, activity, and productive endeavors accomplishing somebody else's goals and not your own. It keeps you looking at life from the standpoint of scarcity versus abundance. Well, I think there's a lot of things that can go into that, and I wanted to hit on some of them today that have been useful to me. First is, ultimately, you've got to decide that the status quo is no longer tolerable. I think for just about everybody, if you're comfortable where you're at, you're probably not going to make a change. So if this is the year and this is the time that you say it's enough, I'm going to ultimately make some changes that are going to translate into making my life more of what it should be, that I'm going to reach my potential, that I'm going to do that great big project that I always knew that I was destined to do. Well, you have to decide first off that you're going to make some changes. And it takes perseverance, it takes dedication, it takes tenacity, it takes sacrifice, all of those things that I think keep a lot of us from achieving the goals and starting the journey that we need to start. And so I guess just a couple of things that help me. One is to my left. I'm in my veterinary office filming this video at this point. There's a picture of a draft horse. It was painted by a gentleman named Robert Taylor. It depicts a horse in the early 1900s in the coal mines. Because he was in total darkness all of his life, this horse, like all other horses that were employed in the coal mines, is blind. Basically, it's a picture of huge effort. The horse is leaning as powerfully and as completely as he can into the harness, trying to pull that coal cart from one spot to the other in the mine. And the caption that goes with it is "Pull it one more mile." Mr. Taylor actually wrote some very profound words, and I won't be able to do them justice by paraphrasing them, but basically it's when you face adversity, when you face challenge, when it appears that nothing you do is working, when all of your friends and any sane person would say throw in the towel and keep going, he has employed the philosophy of pulling it one more mile. And the staff that I work with at the hospital got me that as kind of a tribute to the way that they see me look at life and do things, and I guess I would say it's a compliment, but it's also a reminder. And I think reminders are hugely important to what we want to accomplish. So in the 10 Steps of Business Success, this is an article that I found on the internet, and I felt like it might be useful to share it or to share with you. The first is vision. Without this passionate goal that you've invested into that essentially consumes you, it's pretty tough to make the steps of breaking the status quo and doing the things that you need to do. So you spend some time crafting your vision, and once you craft it, do whatever it takes to keep it repetitive in your mind. Some people put it on their pillow so that they see it at night. Some people write it on their mirror. Some people have it in their office or on their phone. But without a constant reminder, especially initially, about what that vision is, it's likely you're going to get sidetracked by all of the things that happen in life. Number 2 is association. The saying goes that you become the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Well, if those 5 people punch the clock, go to the bar till 10 o'clock, sleep their hangover off, and go back to work the next day, it's likely you're not going to make any changes as long as those are the people you associate with. Find ways to be around people that are doing what you want to do, not people that are doing what you're doing right now. If you can't associate with them personally, if Tony Robbins is your role model, or Warren Buffett's your role model, or Bill Gates is your role model, or Robert Kiyosaki is your role model, you're probably not going to be able to associate with those guys day by day. But find people in your neighborhood and in your sphere of influence that are like them. And I guess the other thing that you can do, if you cannot associate with them personally, then associate with them vicariously. Get their works, look at their videos, buy their books, spend some time every day, as much time as you can that doesn't interfere with the other stuff that you need to do, living around and living with people who basically are what you want to be. Number 3, and this one I think trips a lot of people up. your free education is going to cost you more than you paid for it. Free education is usually done by people who've never been successful at what you do. They're just trying to sell you something, and that's their way to be success. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but the saying goes that if you can't teach, if you can't do, you teach. And again, I think there's a lot of really qualified teachers that wouldn't apply to, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It's very, very, very important that you decide to make the commitment to invest as much as you can into finding the skill sets and finding the materials and doing whatever it takes to educate yourself about what it's going to take to develop these successful actions and the successful model to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. 4, I would call the internet or your online presence. There are very, very few businesses that cannot profit and cannot be multiplied and magnified by the power of the internet. So figure out what it is that your business can do that you can put on the internet in terms of either marketing or just developing content, or even just putting your profile out there is a huge benefit to you in the sense of helping people discover who you are. Going right along with that, basically steps 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all really kind of go together. So 4 was your online presence. 5 is you've got to figure out who your market's going to be. Again, the saying goes that if you try to be all things to all people, you're nothing to anybody. So you will find that there are people that are attracted to you. There are people that will have nothing to do with you. There are people that will bond with you, that will understand your mission, that will be more than happy to share that precious resource that they've worked so hard for with you to try to become or to try to get the services that you have to offer to them. And you need to seek those people out. And so your message needs to be clear and laser focused. This is who I'm looking for. This is what I do. This is my superpower. This is why you would come to see me as compared to other people that you would go to. Those are all huge, and without them, you're going to spend a lot of time meandering back and forth in this how you achieve your goal, because you're not going to be focused on who you have to attract to you to ultimately build your launch pad and blast your rocket off. Number 6 is create content. Again, that probably was already essentially sort of implied in 5. Your content has to be focused on your marketplace. It has to be focused on the people that you want to attract. It has to draw by repetition, by the same thing as everybody talks about in advertising. Ultimately, to try to get a client, most of the advertisers will say you have to touch them 5 times. Well, if your content is touching them 5 times and it's the exact same message and they understand who you are and what you want, well, that's going to be useful to you. Number 7, you got to prospect. It is an non-negotiable. It is a non-negotiable aspect of trying to be an entrepreneur or of trying to change your life, especially if your life involves getting some new business and ultimately not being the employee, which my definition is the instrument to achieve somebody else's goals. Actually, our friend Ray Higdon comes up with that expression, so I'll give him credit for it. I think it's a pretty cool expression, though. As long as you're spending your life accomplishing somebody else's goals, well, guess where yours are? They're probably not even close to onto the table of reality. So you got to go out and prospect. You've got to do whatever it is that it takes to ultimately use your marketing, use your message, use your content to finally figure out how to get people attracted to you. Because if you're not attracting somebody, if somebody isn't buying something from you, then nobody's getting help. All of that good stuff that you've got is going nowhere until somebody decides to commit to buying something. So number 8, really, really important, and I think trips a lot of people up. You can get up with this wonderful vision and spend some time with your mastermind group in terms of whoever and however you do those. Create content, do whatever else. But if you do it haphazardly, Brian Carruthers, again, another person that we follow, basically has a presentation where he comes out on stage with popcorn in a microwave. And instead of leaving the popcorn in the microwave and letting it continue to ultimately heat up till it pops. You keep opening the microwave door and looking at the popcorn bag, and then you close it again, and then you open it and you close it, and then you open it and you close it. Well, that's a good analogy to lack of daily routine. If you're doing it part of the time and you're not letting it day by day build, it's very unlikely that you're going to be successful at what you do. So you have to understand, and every entrepreneur I think that's successful does understand, that there are things that have to happen in your enterprise every day to make it successful, and you have to understand what those are. And sometimes they aren't things you do because your skill sets are involved in other things. So right to begin with, the challenge is you've got to wear all the hats in the business, because you typically can't find somebody else to do that, or you can't pay them. But you need to figure out what you're good at, and you need to figure out what you need to go find in terms of people that can help you, that will bring skill sets or talents or drive and ambition to, if you hate to do books, to do your books. If you hate to make videos, maybe you get somebody to do videos. If you hate to write content, then you get somebody to do that. Figure out what you're good at. Figure out what it is that you should be doing, and then do that, and then find ways to help other people help you do other things. So that segues into number 9, which is team building. Team building is huge. If you find somebody who understands your vision and can figure out how to work with you, and you can figure out how to communicate what you do with them, you're not just twice ahead, you're probably more like 4 to 5 times ahead of where you were, because you can synergize. And especially if they love to do something that you hate to do in your work, well, guess what happens? That portion of things doesn't languish because you're trying to find excuses not to do it. They come in and do that, and you do the other stuff. Number 10, again, I think has a lot to do with long-term success, because if you start with your vision, you will find that you are probably, at least I did, I think very few people figure out their total vision that's going to sustain them for 15, 20, 30 years when they first start. So you have to revise your vision. Certain things that you want to do will be accomplished relatively pretty quickly. That will be basically a motivation for you. It's kind of like the award that you win. Once you get something going and you can see it moving forward and self-perpetuating, that's a pretty cool thing. But then if you don't have something else to add to that, if you don't basically look at some other portion of your enterprise that you could expand to, or some bigger vision, or some new plant, or whatever it is that is an expansion of your vision, ultimately you're going to lose the fuel, you're going to lose the fire to continue to perpetuate your business and to make it grow. So revising your vision is key. It's something that probably most good successful entrepreneurs do every 6 months to a year, depending on the business that they're in. So those are the 10 steps to business success. In various aspects, I think most entrepreneurs learn to find them. I hope if you're that person who's looking to make a big change in your life, that's finally sick and tired of doing some things, I hope this content is useful to you. I have put a link on this video so that you can go find the text if you'd like. That way you don't have to come back and listen to me time after time after time. Wish you wonderful success in your lives. We'd love to hear how things are going for those of you who are making steps forward. I'm sure other people would love to hear your successes and how you're doing things. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear that. We'll be in touch later. Have a great day.